person who asked you to participate in the presentation here this evening believes that you can benefit from our business opportunity. So I'm going to give you some detail on that over the next 30 minutes. But before I do, it makes sense for you to know who you're hearing from. I've been in direct marketing for 28 years. I've been everything from a struggling representative to a top earner in the field to a corporate executive and ultimately to an owner and the CEO for a time of a company that did more than 120 million in annual sales at its height. And all of that experience convinced me that this is the greatest industry in the world. Now, I've had some pretty good experience at a high level in owning traditional businesses in the nonprofit arena as well as in government. But direct marketing is the only industry where increasing your standard of living doesn't require decreasing your quality of life. And when I stepped away from my last project about 2 years ago, a little bit more, I was looking for the next thing I was going to focus on. And my expectation was that I would stay on the corporate side of the industry because that's where my contacts were and also, frankly, my interest. And then I was asked to take a look at Vyvo. And I went out only out of respect for the person who invited me. I really didn't intend to take it seriously. However, in that presentation, I saw enough to make a decision to get started on the spot. Now, the intervening 2 years have been unbelievable. However, some of the things the company has recently announced, in my opinion, will make 2019 our best year ever. And so as we go through this information, I'd like you to think about your goals and dreams because Vyvo is simply the vehicle to help you get from where you are to where you want to go. And I believe that it is one of the best vehicles that I'll ever see. So let me get right into the information. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so the first thing to understand about us is that we are transparent. We like you to know that your success or lack thereof with us will largely depend upon the effort that you're willing to put in. And the fact is that we also have a step-by-step process that for those who follow it, it can produce success. It's done that for me and literally thousands of other people around the world. So we'll talk a little bit about that as we go forward. But meanwhile, as I said, you really need to understand why you would do something like this. Many people come here for money or time or both together. And that is, again, the true benefit of our industry. For me, freedom is being able to go where I want, when I want, with whom I want, and not have money or time be an obstacle. That is what Vyvo can provide. Now, like many businesses, Vyvo solves a problem, and that problem is in the area of chronic disease. As you can see from this slide, you may be surprised also to learn this. The current generation of young people is the first in recorded history that will have a shorter lifespan than their parents, and the reason is because of chronic disease. And it's ironic because we live in an era of technology. We don't just have things, we have smart things, right? So our phones have become smartphones, our TVs are smart TVs, we even have smart cars that drive themselves, yet we have not yet applied all of that technology to perhaps our most important asset, and that is our health and our bodies. We haven't done that until now because that is the mission of Vyvo. The focus is using technology to live healthier lives, and if you've chosen to participate with us in the business, wealthier lives as well. So let's look at how we're able to do that. Now, we are historically known as a technology company. Specifically, we've had a focus for the last several years in wearable tech. We're an industry leader in that space. However, recently, we expanded that with a concept called Vyvo Smart. Vyvo Smart takes the wearable tech, combines it with genetic analysis, and runs all of that or governs it through artificial intelligence. Now, if you're like me, you may not think anything positive about AI. I didn't. Most of what I had heard about it was something that ultimately would lead to disaster, like robots would take over the world, like in the Terminator. But the fact is, AI, even today, does a number of unbelievable things. And here is no exception, because what we're able to do through this process is suggest customized solutions that can impact your life for the positive in a number of areas. We already have one in health and wellness. It's called the NutriPack. And in the future, we will have others in anti-aging, in skin health, and in data and data analysis as well. So if you look at all these industries where we focus, they're more than $4 trillion put together. And I'm sure you'd agree, it doesn't take a whole lot of $4 trillion to be a whole lot of revenue for the company and significant opportunity for you and I. So let's look at each of these areas. First of all, in the wearable space, actually, let me put this on here. I had just taken it off momentarily. This is our third generation wearable device. It's called the Hilo LX Plus, and it is truly state of the art. The typical wearable will count calories, measure steps, do heart rate, maybe a few other things. We do all of that and more. As you see here, we can do breath rate, mood, energy levels, sleep quality. We can measure your blood oxygen, take your blood pressure, and an EKG. We can even monitor all those features in others, and we can help you protect yourself from harmful radiation. All of that in this one little device. It's state of the art in terms of the quality of the sensor, so it's very accurate. And best of all, it has an open platform that governs it. That simply means that third-party developers can make applications for our platform. Now, that is the same concept that Apple and Google use to dominate the smartphone market through the iPhone and the Android platform. We believe we'll be able to do the same thing. The difference is that you, like me, are probably simply a consumer in the smartphone arena. You pay someone else to use the services. Here, you can become a producer. As this technology continues to be adopted, you can get paid. And it's award-winning. It's been featured at the last two Consumer Electronics shows, which is the largest technology show in the world. It was rated the #1 product in direct selling in 2017, and has been featured on local, regional, and national news stories, including the Today Show. Now, this product, as great as it is no longer available. And before you get concerned about that, let me introduce the fourth generation wearable device from Vyvo. That's called the BioSense. Now, BioSense results from a partnership between Vyvo and a company called Foxconn. If you're not familiar with Foxconn, it's one of the largest technology manufacturers in the world. They make about 20% of the products in technology, and they typically do partnerships or deals with companies much larger than Vyvo. We're 100 million plus in sales. However, they're used to working with billion-dollar companies, a virtual who's who in business. They made an exception here because of the power of Vyvo's technology. So BioSense is the first band to result, or the first product to result. State of the art, goes a fair amount beyond the LX Plus, even as great as that is. And you can see it's thinner. It has a much longer battery life and greater storage capacity. It also offers continuous heart rate, so you don't even have to press a button on your smartphone to take your heart rate. It monitors 12 different organs in your body. It has the ability to detect falls. So it is very sophisticated, and best of all, it is the hub of the Vyvo Smart System, which we'll talk about in a minute. But as great as this is, and it'll be available in the next couple months, it's not our only technology product. Here's another significant one. It's called the Vyvo Extends, and it also solves a problem, and that problem is in sugar trend monitoring. Now, you may know one of the 400 million plus people in the North America and the rest of the world who have to monitor their sugar levels. State of the art in that space is to take what amounts to a sophisticated pin, prick your finger, put it on a piece of paper, and stick it in a device and get your blood sugar reading. Well, it's amazing with all the technology we talked about, that process hasn't been improved, excuse me, for decades until now. And it's been improved through this device right here. It's called the Vyvo Extend. And rather than prick my finger, I can just simply put it on my finger, press a button on my smartphone. A minute or so later, it'll give me a reading. And the power of this non-invasive technology allows us to implement very, very cool marketing strategies like this one. You really don't have to say much more. Once people see that advertisement, they clearly understand the power of the technology, and to give you a sense, even though it's early stage, of how well it's working, let me share this slide with you. This was a measurement I took today. On the left side of your screen is a measurement done through traditional means. I have a glucose meter. I follow that process. And this is simply because now I'm in this space, I don't have to monitor my sugar levels, but it's something that's good to know anyway. But you can see I took the measurement at 10:39 this morning. It's a little blurry. That measurement was 110. At 10:41 this morning, I took a measurement with my extends. That measurement was also 110. So let me give you a sense of how amazing this is. The government regulations require any device that measures sugar trends to be within 20% of the actual number 99% of the time. So that would mean that the acceptable range of a measurement of 100 would be 80 to 120 by any device that actually measures it, including both of these. Now, the device on the left is one of the leading devices on the market, if not the leading device. It's made by a company that does tens of billions of dollars in revenues annually. And it just blows me away that our device, after about a month of operating through not only the hardware but the software, is already on par with this multi-billion-dollar backed state-of-the-art device. So the future looks unbelievable for what we're doing in sugar trend monitoring. So we have these two devices, and in the future there'll be others that take the bio data. The second component of our Vyvo Smart system is DNA analysis. You may be familiar with this because you or someone you know has gone back and tracked where they're from, meaning their ancestry through DNA. Well, that's a great application, but there are others that I think are even more impactful from a health standpoint. One is drug sensitivity. So knowing the drugs that you may not want to take because of you having a genetic predisposition to have adverse reactions, and that is very significant. And then health and wellness. So if you're a person who likes to exercise, eat right, and get enough sleep, as well as take supplements, and you do all that, yet you don't look and feel like you think you should, this process is for you, because that is probably, excuse me, because you have been implementing a one-size-fits-all process. And the challenge with that is one size doesn't fit all, so what works for someone else may not work for you. Well, this test actually solves this challenge. I can show you an example of one. This is mine. It's 22 pages of data, and it tells you some unbelievable things. Let me give you just a couple of examples. I found a couple of vitamins that I have a predisposition not to absorb well, which means that I need to supplement more with those. It also told me that I do have somewhat of a genetic predisposition toward high blood pressure, and made some recommendations relative to watching my salt intake, which I knew anyway because both of my parents have high blood pressure. And so then, though, for those areas that people really tend to pay some attention to, right now, everyone talks about quote unquote healthy fats. There are lots of diets out there now, or at least a few that are pretty prominent, that have made fat less of an issue than it's been in the past. And typically, they say that you should eat a certain type of fat, unsaturated fats rather than saturated. Stay away from saturated. And they say unsaturated fats are very good for you. Fats like the fat in olive oil and almonds and many others. I'm sure we've all heard that, some types of fish. But the bottom line is my genetic predisposition or my genetic analysis told me that I am less likely to gain fat than the average person when I take in fat, but that I'm more likely to gain fat than average when I actually take in monounsaturated fats. And so you might say, well, what are monounsaturated fats? They're the fats that are in things like olive oil and almonds and certain types of fish. So all these things that I've been eating because society tells us, or those that are supposedly in the know tell us, they're good for you, and they're not wrong. They're good for, the masses in general. However, I'm one of those people who has to watch that, and I never would have known that without this test. So that's just one example of the power of the information. But the great thing is, while it gives you suggestions and things that you can do, and every month a report is generated for subscribers to our system that's based upon this genetic analysis, the best part about this is I don't have to implement those things by myself, because many of us in this day and age in particular say, listen, cut to the chase, tell me what to do. Like there's a popular book series that says, eat this, not that. That's what we like to know. Give me the bottom line. Tell me specifically what I should do. Well, Vyvo has done that through this product. It's called the NutriPack. The NutriPack is a supplement program. As you can see, it's state-of-the-art, gluten-free, vegan, organic, up to 100 plant-based ingredients. But here's the unbelievable thing. There are just a small number of companies doing DNA-based nutrition. They give you a DNA test, sometimes an assessment as well, where you answer questions yourself, and then they send you supplements that are based on that. And those supplements may be the same this year, even though you first took the genetic test 3 or 4 years ago. Well, the problem with that is you're not the same. And so what we do that no one else does is we take that biofeedback generated by our wearable devices, and it can inform what we offer in our NutriPack. So to give you an example, this is my second NutriPack because it just came out. I got my first one in February. My second one just came yesterday, and I was very anxious to see if the ingredients were the same. They weren't. There was a slight difference. My last one had 14. This one only has 13. And what that suggests to me is that my NutriPack has been adjusted based upon the data that my Helo gathered over the last 30 days. That's powerful. It wouldn't matter if it were month 2 like it is or month 202. this process will continue to go on like that. So it's evergreen, and it keeps on the cutting edge, not only of supplement technology, but of what's happening in my body. And as I said, this entire process is governed through artificial intelligence. So no human makes this supplement. I can actually share with you what it looks like if I can open the box. So this is it right here. You can see it's just a little sachet, and I just put it under my tongue. It dissolves, so it's truly state of the art. But artificial intelligence formulates this based upon my genetic profile and the data that is given to it through my wearable devices. So that's very powerful. No one else is doing it, and there is a real company behind it. We are 8 years old, available or operating in 195 countries. We've received a number of accolades. We talked about some of these in terms of the media attention. A couple things I like to highlight, though. We've been rated one of the top direct selling companies in the world. And for bottom line oriented people like me, we've done over 600 million in sales in the last 5 years. Now, this is just the beginning. All of this is the brainchild of Fabio Galdi, our CEO. He's the gentleman I met with when I said I went out and took a look at the company. We had a one-on-one meeting, and I met with Fabio as a colleague. I considered him a colleague simply because I had just stepped down from a company that was comparable size to Vyvo. So he was running Vyvo. I had just left from running a company of comparable size. And so I really was just interested to meet a colleague, hear from him on what he's doing. But I was blown away, not only by his vision, because, there are a fair number of people who have vision. Vision to me is necessary, but not sufficient. You also need the ability to make the vision a reality. And Fabio is not just a business person. He's a scientist. He invented our wearable technology. So my belief 2 years ago was that he would be able to keep us positioned on the cutting edge. And he certainly has. And his goal is to run a multi-billion-dollar company. As we embark on that process, we go from 100 plus million, 150 or so, to multi-billion. You certainly can benefit. And the way you benefit is by becoming a participant in a program or a business owner with us. You may wonder why you haven't heard anything about the company. We don't advertise. We use word of mouth. And so it's a very simple process to get started with us and benefit from referring people to our products and our business. Now, for those of you with direct selling experience, you'll notice or note that it is unique that the company doesn't charge to become a representative. You simply fill out a member agreement that entitles you to market the products as well as the business, but you certainly can choose to become a customer as well. And the process for you, even if you're a representative, is the same as it would be for anyone else. Excuse me. So let me share with you a couple of the key product options. The first is what we call the Smart Kit, significant value. You get a number of things. First of all, you get the DNA sample collection kit. That's a $25 value, plus the actual health and wellness genetic test. That's a $260 value. And you get what we call our Pro subscription. Now that gives you all of the data that's generated by our wearable devices. You get unlimited reporting and monitoring. So when I go to the doctor, I don't have to worry about that one point of data that he is going to have in terms of him or his nurse taking my blood pressure or my heart rate. I can show him weeks of blood pressure and heart rate data, among other vitals, so that he can make a much more informed assessment. That's very significant. We also have what you'll hear about as our loyalty program, which is a rewards program. We'll talk about that in a minute. That's included. And most significantly, the NutriPack is included. So that's a $100 value. And you also get a significant discount on the BioSense band. You can buy it for just $50. We expect that that'll be somewhere around a $200 discount. So taken together, all of these things are well over $600, and you can receive them for $369 through the Smart Kit. Now, for those who are really focused on getting off to a fast start, you can choose the Builder Pack, which includes multiple smart kits. Specifically, you get 3. You get 2 that you could give to a family member or a new business partner yourself, or you could sell them. You can do whatever you want. And your smart kit actually comes with 3 months of our Pro subscription instead of just 1. That means 3 NutriPacks instead of 1. So this has almost $800 in savings. Certainly, there's some significant value in it for anyone who can choose to start there. Now, in addition, we do have the monitoring subscriptions, 3 options. I really want to focus on the 2 on the right because they include all of the monitoring that's available. The loyalty program includes our rewards program. It's called Loyalty, and this $59.90 or $60 program includes 59 loyalty points. A loyalty point is basically $1 to spend on Vyvo products. So, for example, I can go into the loyalty store and buy another Hilo LX Plus, or in the future, Biosense, I should say, and a number of our other products. So you actually can ultimately end up getting free products from the company. Imagine if your leading cell phone providers were actually allowing you to do that. Every time you paid your carrier, you got credit back that you could use to buy the latest and greatest phone when it came out. That's basically what we do here in Vyvo. But again, the difference between loyalty and pro is simply the NutriPack. So the unbelievable thing is that companies, sell higher end nutrition for $100 plus all day. Those selling customized nutrition, DNA customized nutrition, can sell for as high as $150 to $200, but you're getting the most customized on the market for just $40 additional. Very powerful, and is also a key to the recurring income that's available here. So speaking of income, let's talk a little bit about our compensation plan. There are a number of different ways to get paid in Vyvo, but they all fall into 5 categories. The first is retail. So anytime you refer someone to the company, whether it be as a customer or a business partner, and they buy something, you're going to get 10% of whatever they spend. Now, we've just focused on 2 packages, but there are a number of products in our store, so you can benefit from all that. That can certainly become a nice part-time income stream. But then as you refer people to the business and they begin to go out and build their business with our help, I talked about the process and the system when we got started. Just know that you are learning while you earn, because we're the experts. We're going to implement the process for you. But the people you refer can certainly help you get off to a fast start. You can get paid for helping them when they're new in the business, and this can advance to ultimately getting paid up to 10% of the largest income stream that the people you personally refer will have, and getting paid up to 10% on over 10 generations or levels of business partners that they refer as well. You don't have to understand a lot about what I just said, other than understanding that that can be a significant income stream. Now, the third area is business building. We build 2 organizations here with Vyvo. Your first goal is simply to identify 2 people overworked or underpaid, excuse me, or who want to have, be, or do more. And so as you build with those 2 people, they're going to work their businesses. You're building 2 separate organizations, all doing the same thing. One is going to be smaller than the other. The business building income is called team volume commission. So you get 20% of all the sales volume of everything in the smaller of your 2 organizations. So, that can be a significant income stream. That's how many of us are able to be full-time here in Vyvo. But it doesn't stop there. Speaking of full-time, we do have a career path. And as you advance, you can earn benefits that can include luxury travel, jewelry, a car allowance of up to $1,000. We have an incentive trip that right now people are qualifying for. That will be an all expense paid trip to a resort island in Thailand. So very powerful and very exclusive. And then finally, the last income category is profit sharing. So you can get an annual bonus on your anniversary of joining that's up to 1% of all of the sales volume on your smaller of your two teams. Very significant. And let me give you a simple example that illustrates how much so. Now, understand we had the disclaimer in the beginning. This is just an example. It's not real world, so it doesn't happen this way necessarily in the real world. But as I mentioned, your first goal is to refer to. Let's say in your first month you accomplish that. You've referred to, and then those two go out with our help, not just yours, but with ours, and 2 turns into 4 in your second month, and then 4 turns into 8 in your third month, and ultimately after 12 months, you've built a team of more than 4,000 people. Now, understand this is significant in terms of growth, but based upon the standards here in Vyvo and in the industry in general, it's not outlandish by any means. The last network or organization I built had almost 130,000 or more than 130,000 people in it actually when I left the company. So that is just an example of what's possible. But let's say a year into this, you've built 4,000. You can see there are income streams in the middle based upon how people get started. But I want to advance all the way to the right and talk about the reoccurring income that is available because of the pro subscription. So this assumes that those people have been focused on the pro subscription, and over that 1 year period, you can see here, it says that you've earned more than $40,000. And more significantly to me, when you look at the run rate, meaning what you are earning after a year on a monthly basis, you can see it's more than $20,000. So that's just an example of what's possible. That is true residual income. If you're not familiar with residual, it is getting paid over and over for doing something once. Best example I've heard of residual, Elvis Presley. Last year, Elvis's heirs made more than he did in the last year of his life. And that's simply because every time a record plays or something with his likeness is sold, they get paid. True long-term residual. We offer something similar here with Vyvo. So to review, we've talked about a company perfectly positioned in front of very, very significant trends. It has a top management team, an extremely lucrative compensation plan, and the best products that I've had the privilege to represent in 28 years in the industry. That returns us then to you and your goals. If you see an opportunity to make those goals a reality, I encourage you to take action, get started, get back to the person who invited you here. They will share with you exactly what you need to do next. There are only a couple of reasons why people don't start. Often time and money are 2 of them. And I would tell you, the old cliche says, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So the reason that may stop you from getting started, time in or money, is actually the reason you need to do it, because we can be the solution. We can actually help you solve your time or financial crunch. If you choose to take action, you can look back on your decision to start as one of the best financial decisions you've ever made. So in summary, that is going to wrap up our presentation here this evening. Again, get back with the person who invited you here. They will share with you how to take advantage of everything we talked about. We repeat this presentation several times a week, and ask the person who invited you when the next one is. I look forward to seeing you on that or a future presentation, not as a guest, but as a representative with guests of your own. That concludes tonight's Vyvo presentation. Again, I'm William Faucette, a grand president here with Vyvo. Have a great night, and God bless.